Hello, welcome. I'm sick, not with COVID, calm down. Today we're going to be talking about 365 Days, the movie, and I guess a little bit of the book, considering my channel is about books. So, let's dissect this movie and talk about the genre of erotic romance. Why this exists, why it's booming at the moment, and if you're a writer in this industry, then you are laughing because you could make so much money. It's estimated that books in this genre, like look at this chart, look at this. Romance and erotica is a $1.44 billion industry. That's unbelievable. Why? Why are we so obsessed with romance and erotic fiction? It's a bit naughty, isn't it? It's like mysterious and curious, you know? And throughout history, there has been an obsession with the provocative. We see this in all kinds of art, from paintings to theatre to writing even. What was accepted in that society at that specific time with like the moral code and all that. The morals have changed. The narrative has changed. What was once accepted back then is now no longer accepted, and we accept more extravagant things. We expect it as well. Not only do we accept it, but we expect it to be a little bit risque. Wearing a short dress, couldn't do that back in the day. You can now. You can also do a lot of other things that would be considered very taboo back then. It's weird because somewhere between movies like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, we are now seeking content that kind of disturbs us, that's more provocative. When was the last rom-com that came out that wasn't trashy, that didn't have this culture of swearing and sex and dating, this toxic dating culture, this Tinder dating culture? I don't know, like I can't name one. Let's talk about 50 Shades of Grey. Very similar genre, very similar concept of control, eroticism, that kind of thing. This was so successful because it pushed the boundaries. And yes, it's trash and it glorifies a controlling relationship. We all know that, but a deep part of our human condition craves these delights in life. And I think that that's something people really struggle to accept. One of my favorite genres is fantasy, but I like fantasy with an element of romance, just a sprinkle, if you will. It has to be balanced. It can't override the entire story or plot. It just needs to be woven in correctly. Like the Sharing Knife series is a fantastic example of how it uses romance and fantasy and interweaves it. They have a great relationship in that book. There's no kind of, you know, overly sexual scenes or anything, but they're together and they come from different worlds, and it's just a beautiful story, beautifully written, amazing. It's not overly sexual at all, and it is about deep, true love. Anything by Sarah J Maas is a bit naughty and it's a little bit risque, but it's also a great story as well. I know that Sarah J Maas has her problems. Excuse me. Oh, when will this end? I know that Sarah J Maas has her problems in her writing, lack of diversity, characters who are tanned from outdoor labour, and that outdoor labour also leads to muscles, but not too much muscles. Like it's all the same man, basically, in her books. It's still a bestseller. It still works. But 365 Days pushes this to the extreme. There are scenes in the film that are incredibly disturbing. He literally kidnaps her and she develops almost a Stockholm syndrome kind of love towards him. And apparently the book is even worse. The book is by a Polish author whose name is Blanka Lipinski, but pronounced incorrectly because I'm only fluent in one language, so sorry. But I've done some research and this book is incredibly popular but kind of ridiculed. So it's the equivalent of 50 Shades of Grey, just the Polish version basically. But it's a bestseller monetary wise, terrible quality wise, but nevertheless a bestseller. It's a difficult thing to judge because at the end of the day, this author has written a book and I haven't. None of us really have. And it just so happens to be a really successful book that pretty much set this author up for life, helped the publication stay afloat, became a movie, so became even more successful, even more money, even more royalties rolling in. And the thing is that we can't ignore that these people who like these stories exist. There's a target audience for future writers who want to write in a genre. People who want to write full time, like myself, who have those aspirations of being an author, really should look into this, because it is, again, a $1.44 billion industry. But then you have to do it right? Like, you can't just risk your art being trash, have a bad reputation, but then you have a lot of money. What's more important to you? Anyway, the movie. Far out. I watched this when I was sick. Really sick in bed with my dog. Do you want to come say hi? Come here. This is my dog Hamish. Hey. Oh, he's a 8-month mini fox terrier, which is a breed common in Australia. I know it's not that common overseas, but they were originally bred for hunting rats and chasing foxes off of farms. We don't have a farm yet. Maybe we'll get an acreage one day. That's the aspiration. But you're very sweet, aren't you? You're a good boy. You're a very good boy. Yes. Anyway, the movie is described as an erotic thriller fiction story of Laura and a mafia don named Massimo. So the themes, let's break it down. Laura is a 29-year-old and has a weak heart, of course. So when Massimo drugs her and kidnaps her, she has a severe reaction to the sedative, with then which they fight, but he's stronger than her because she has a weak heart, and he wins by dominance and is like all in her face, and his like hands are like either side of the wall. So Massimo has this vision of a woman when his father died, and it just so happened to be Laura, which is why he kidnaps her in the first place. Very romantic. The most romantic thing I've ever known. And if he wasn't an 8 out of 10 and instead was a creepy, fat, old Italian man, this would be an absolutely revolting story. But no, it's romanticized and sexualized because he is an 8 out of 10. Apart from that, the movie literally has no plot. It's just Laura basically teasing Massimo in elaborate ways, him being incredibly controlling, like telling her she can't wear certain things to a club. Yes. Telling her that she shouldn't tease him because you don't know what I'm capable of. Why do men say that? It's like in books when you read the line, "You're mine." It's like, don't. It's so gross. I can't. Sarah J Maas did that a couple of times and I was like, let's not do that. And they're calling her baby girl in a really creepy way that...
Are you lost, baby girl? Are you lost, baby girl? Are you lost, baby girl?
I am actually not lost. I have been kidnapped and forced to fall in love with a man in 365 days. Yay. Now this movie has some very intense sex scenes as well, which would have taken... Do you mind? I'm trying to speak. Which would have taken so much bravery from the actors, but it's so pornographic that it's cringe. The whole movie, the whole plot, and I imagine the book as well, is leading up to these extremely sexual moments. That's all the story is really about. That's all anyone's really here for. The climax of the entire plot is surrounding this detailed sex scene, or multiple in this case. Why? Why? Because it's more accepted now, and we're obsessed with the grotesque and things that push the boundaries. Violence, sex. This movie goes on to then him suddenly having a softer side and sending Laura away, only to then see her again, propose to her, and get her pregnant. Hooray, now she can never leave. This movie, this book, these kinds of art can be very damaging to the expectation of relationships and dating, but they are continually romanticized, and I can't help but wonder how far we can go until it's too much. You know, the world of political correctness exists, social justice warriors, all of that. How far can we push this? But this genre exists, and it will continue to exist. We just have to maintain the ability to critically think and know when something is just a little bit toxic. Anyway, this movie was trash. I give it 1 out of 5 stars, and I will never watch it again. And I just was sorry never watch it again. Imagine getting like the role as an actor and going, yes, I've got this movie role. Ugh! Getting so amped, and then you sign the contract and you realize that there's all this shit in it, that you realize that you've got to do all this stuff. Like, that takes guts, man. That's brave to do that. End on this. As someone who survived an abusive relationship that showed signs of possessiveness, control, manipulation, violence, and toxic jealousy, there is nothing romantic about it. And every time I see a TikTok and Instagram from young girls who have watched this movie on Netflix, which, by the way, I would have never watched that as a young girl. I can't believe what people are doing. Anyway, I would have been very impressionable, and I would have thought that that was normal, and it's not. Don't buy into that kind of thing. Make sure you guard your mind when it comes to the content that you consume, both on social media, reading things. I know Wattpad is an incredibly popular platform, like, all for it, but it can be very toxic, filled with some incredibly disturbing stories that normalize abuse, and there's nothing remotely right about that.